So GarageBand, as Angelo and I were chatting before we started, is such a deep program, and it's just the baby version of the professional program that Apple have, which is called Logic. And there's really so much that you can do with it. It's available on iPad, it's available on the iPhone. Obviously, if you use the iPhone and the iPad, you've got the ability to tap the screen so that you can play drums, you can play the instruments directly on the screen. I'm going to be spending time in the Mac version today because this is the granddaddy. And if there is renewed interest or if there's additional interest in this, then I'll definitely do something on the iPad. We use it a lot in schools. One of the things that makes using an iPad or a Mac so powerful is these pieces of software are built in, they're free, and it brings computing to subjects that weren't necessarily well supported by technology. So could you imagine a drama class recording their parts on GarageBand and then everybody taking home a memory stick with the play reading so that they could learn their parts and work with other people? You could even save the project and mute everybody else and then just record your parts, rehearse different bits and pieces. Poetry readings, recording sound and trying to analyze sound and seeing waveforms and so on. It's all a way of expanding the tool set that a student might have. Now, from a home perspective, you don't even need to be able to play an instrument. And this is what I'm going to be demonstrating today in order to use GarageBand. So what I'm going to do today is run you through GarageBand, show you some of the tools that are available. We're going to make a song and then we're going to export it. One thing I just want to stress before we start is that any music that you make with any of the sound files that are in GarageBand are completely royalty free. So if you want to make a YouTube video, you want to do a presentation and you need to have music behind it, and you want to post it, for example, on YouTube or Vimeo or any of the online services, there will be no risk of your music being taken down or your video being taken down because of copyright breaches. So let's start right away. I'm going to share my screen. Righto. When you start up GarageBand, you're confronted with this fairly daunting little interface. We'll come back to new project. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about is that there are lessons on learning how to play. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on that. If I click on Learn to Play, you've got guitar lessons, piano lessons, and there are also artists who will teach you how to play their songs. I'll come back to that in a minute. So let's have a look at guitar. We've got basic guitar, blues guitar, or chord trainer. So let's have a look at the intro to guitar. I'm going to choose, and it opens up a file. And I now have a guitar. We can learn, and he'll take us through a series of lessons. And once we've learned some things, we'll be able to play. And the software will analyze our playing and tell us how well we did. So before we crack into the lesson, I can click on Glossary up the top here, and the glossary will give us a list of terms that the teacher is going to be teaching us. So even if I don't understand things like chords or articulations or a capo, I can click on these and it'll give me a description of what a capo is. If I'm not good at tuning things, I can click on tuner and I can play a musical instrument, say a guitar here, and my guitar is flat at the moment. So I can tune my instrument up. I have a mixer that will let me adjust the volume of the teacher's voice and their guitar. There's a band that plays as well and my instrument. So very, very simple. And the setup screen will allow me to choose where the inputs are, where the monitors are. This is typically something you'll set up once and forget it. So let's close that out. And you'll see along the bottom over here, we've got learn, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, holding the guitar. These are various chapters. And I can press play.
And it anchors the strings to the body. This is the neck of the guitar. And the playing surface is the fretboard or fingerboard.
So if I know how to tune my guitar and I know how to hold the guitar, I can go on to picking and strumming.
Now let's reverse that. Start by picking up on the high E or first string, coming to rest on the B or second string above it. Then follow along with the rest of the strings.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but the actual strings themselves are moving. So this is an illustration of which string they're plucking up here and down here. So we go through this whole process. We can go, say, strumming a chord.
Check to make sure your fretting fingers aren't touching the surrounding strings, making the chord sound like this. If this is happening, figure out which finger is muting the surrounding strings.
So we go through the lesson, and then once we've done the lesson, there's a play option where when I click play, the instructor will ask me to follow along. And so on. So I can literally play with the teacher, be instructed, and then play along, and it'll give me an analysis of what I've done. So that's the very basic lesson. There's piano lessons. And if I go to the lesson store and go to guitar lessons, you'll see that there's 8 basic guitar lessons, 5 rock guitar, 7 blues guitar. If I go to piano lessons, again, 8 pop piano, classical piano, basic piano. This is no substitute for a real teacher, I think. But if you want to get started and you don't want to commit yourself, this is a good way to start. And then if you go to artist lessons, you'll see we've got, I don't know if these musicians are in your own particular orbit of music that you like, but we've got John Legend for piano lessons, Nora Jones. We've got Glenn Difford from Squeeze, teaching you how to play 2 songs. America, I remember these guys, gosh, my age, and Rush, and so on. So if I was to say, click on Pulling Muscles for Michelle.
Hiya, I'm Glenn from Squeeze, and I'm going to be showing you how to play a simplified version of the song I wrote with Chris Difford.
So we can download those. These are all free for the moment, free at the moment. Right, so that's the learning how to play. If I click on recent, it shows me some recent pieces of music that I've created. So I'm going to open one of these up, show you a tune that I made some time back, give you a quick overview of the interface, and then we'll build a song. So let's open this guy up. So this was a little demonstration that we did for the Cape Town Jazz Festival. We run a workshop there, have done every year for the last few years. This is our interface for Garageband. We've got a rewind, fast forward, back to the beginning, play, record, loop. This is our transport controls, if you like. This is our canvas. If you're familiar with iMovie, you'll know that we got multiple tracks. And this is our time bar. So each one of these is 1 bar of music. And then we've got a variety of different instruments. Each instrument can be muted, so you can switch it off, or you can solo that instrument, so that's the only instrument that you hear. So I'm going to just rewind and give this a play, and you'll have a listen. And so on. So now we can adjust the volume of each instrument up and down individually. And one of the things you might have noticed over here is that this electric guitar is muted. I've got it switched off. Now, when I first built the song, I used that one. And then while I was preparing for the lesson, I found this one and I really like it. So let's listen to exactly the same piece, but with a different guitar. So turn that off, switch it on. And so on. So literally, this is a canvas. These are your instruments, and you paint with your canvas. So let's see what it's like to build a song from scratch. Close this guy up, and I won't save it. So if we start a new project, we can choose our tempo in terms of beats per minute. If we want to tap a tempo, we can tap it, and it'll listen to our hand claps, and it'll give us the right tempo. We can choose whatever key we wanted to start in, whether it's a major minor key, what our time signature is. So if you want to get really Dave Brubeck in sophisticated. We can do 5/4 time and so on. And we can choose our input devices here. There are also a variety of templates. So if you are a singer, for example, and you want to start something up, you're a songwriter, I can open this up and it pre-creates a canvas for me. Zoom you open. A canvas for me that has a bunch of instruments in already and some presets all set up for me. But I'm going to start it from scratch because I like doing that. So let's open this guy up. And here it asks me, what kind of instrument am I going to be playing? So I'm actually not going to be playing any instrument, but if we had a MIDI keyboard, I could use this to trigger any of the sounds on the computer. I could use a microphone. I could connect a guitar. And I've got a little device over here. I don't know how well you can see it. It's called an Irig. You plug this into your headphone jack. You plug your guitar in here. It's also got an optional headphone out so you can play without disturbing anybody else. And that way you can plug an analog instrument like a guitar straight into it. And you can start with drums if you want to. But I'm going to start with a software instrument, and it's going to create a blank panel for me. Now, I don't have anything plugged in at the moment. Here are my library of instruments that I can access. And by default, it's made a classical electric piano track. So I'm going to close the library up just for the moment. These are the controls for that instrument. So you can actually open up and adjust the tones. And because I don't have a piano connected, it actually uses my Mac's keyboard as my instrument panel. So, or rather my keyboard. So I could click on this and go. A little bit slow at the moment, but I can literally use my keyboard to play. Not ideal, but if you have nothing else, it's absolutely better than nothing. I don't want to have that keyboard open, so I'm just going to hide the musical typing. And now I have my empty canvas. So I've showed you our transport controls. This is our little timer, tells us our little overview. I've got a tuner that I can access if I want to. I have a metronome that I can play. If I need help, I can press on the question mark, and I have these little popovers that tells me about pretty much every piece of information on the screen. So if you're a little stuck, the help popovers are dead useful. On the side over here, we've got our media, and we can have a notepad where we can type notes to ourselves. This is our loop browser. And these are a bunch of predefined sounds that we can access to make our music. And not only are there thousands that come built in, this is 6,478 items. So there's 6,478 little snippets of music. So if I say 70s electric piano, I'm going to click on this. And click on the next one. So these are all my loops, and they come in a variety of different formats. So these are audio loops. I also have MIDI loops. If I just want to look at my MIDI loops, I can click that filter, and let's have a look at, say, upbeat electric piano. And so on. So I can choose MIDI instruments, audio instruments. There's some drummer loops. We'll come to the drummer in a minute. The nice thing about MIDI is that you can, MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And you can use this to trigger any MIDI instrument. So if you've got those sounds and you send it out to a keyboard, you can adjust the sounds because it's really just saying what the note is and what the duration and the strength of the hit on, say, a keyboard or a guitar, the attack, the delay, and so on. So let's start to build a track. I don't need to see this at the moment, so I'm going to hide it. One of the things that you can do when you've auditioned these tracks, playing on one of these is it's called an audition. If you like them, you can favorite them by clicking on it. And I've got a bunch of tracks that I favorited so that I can build this for you without having to hunt for them. However, you can filter. So if I wanted to type disco in here, it would filter this down and just show me any of the songs that had the word disco in here. I can also click on instruments and I can say, okay, just show me all the percussion, show me percussion, which is conga. So I can switch these triggers on and off to narrow down by instrument, by type of instrument, and so on. But let's go back to this. Hide the track here. And I'm going to start to build a song. So I've got this after hours beat. It's 8 beats long, which in 4/4 would be 2 bars. Click on that. I like that. So I'm going to drag it out into the track over here. And it's created an after hours beat track, which is 2 bars long. Starts in bar 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, one of the nice things about this is because they're called loops for a reason, if I move my cursor up to the top, can you see the little rotating arrow? I can drag this out. So let's drag this out for 12 bars. So now, I don't want this to loop. If I play this, and this will keep playing, and it'll play all the way through to the end, and then continue playing. But if I wanted to loop and carry on playing round and round, I can click this loop bar and drag this out to the end here. And now when the playback head reaches the end, well, I won't do it. When it reaches the end, it'll just carry on looping around. So I can audition tracks, I can try different things out, and then switch the loop off and carry on with my song. So I thought that just to show my age, we'll do a bit of disco. So let's get a bit of bass in there. So I've got disco bass 1, which I quite like. So let's play this. And the nice thing about Garageband is that if the beats, you can see this one is 16 beats, so that'll be 4 bars. If it's in a different key, Garageband will adjust the key automatically. It'll transpose it. Obviously, the wider the actual notes are, the further apart they are, the more complex it can be. I can increase or decrease the volume of it before I actually add it. But I'm just going to take this cross down disco bass 1, place it right in the beginning. Take this to the beginning and press that. Well, I like that. So I'm going to stretch that out to another 2 bars. And I've also, actually, no, let's not do that. Let's just undo that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to split this at the end of bar 3. And if I select that, I can, if I remember how to do this, I can split, let's use my help, split regions at the playback head. There we go, edit, Command T. And now I've split that apart. I'm going to delete that part. And I'm going to take disco bass 3, add this at the beginning. Let's take you here. Sorry, I'm faffing here. This is the problem with this. It is so immersive that you can spend a lot of time here. So now I have 2 different bass tracks. And those are pretty good. So I'm just going to copy those. Go to the playback head, put it at the beginning of bar number 6, bar number 8, and now I've duplicated. I've got this looping, and it will play, and it'll go around. So that's nice. So let's get some disco fever guitar in here. That's nice. That's sufficiently funky. So let's take this out. And if I want to work in more detail, I can pinch my fingers in and out. So I can zoom in. So there's bar 1, there's bar 2, there's bar 3. Let's take, let's just start and play this. And let's audition another guitar. Yep, I like that. So I'm going to drag this in here. So I've got a little bit of music going on here. I've got two different types of guitar. I can shorten or lengthen them. And let's just take these guys, copy and paste them out again. Oh, in the wrong track. Was I in the right track? Let's just move it in here. I want to be down here. Why are you pasting down now? I want to be in disco fever. There we go. So we can start to build our music up this way. Now, at the moment, all of these are audio tracks, and it sounds pretty nice, but we've got a new type of player, which is a drummer. So if I want to add a new track, they have real-time drummers. So I'm going to add a drummer. So instead of doing the loops that I had up here, which is just an electronic beat, I actually have a bunch of drummers that I can audition. So there's Kyle, who's a pop rock player. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute the electronic beat. Yeah, he's okay, but he's a rock drummer. So I'm not that crazy, because the rock is not it's not getting the funk for me. So let's add Jesse, who is a funk drummer. So let's take Jesse, who's a funk rock drummer, and let's take Jesse in there. So that's nice. Let's get a bit of space in there. Let's just move this out a couple of bars over there, so we've got some space. And Jesse is a drummer. Like we can stretch him out on loops like anything else. If we look at the interface over here, let's just mute everybody but Jesse. Let's play him. See at the moment, the bass drum, the snare, and the hi-hat are playing. But if I wanted some hand claps, I could click hand claps. Switch off the hand claps, and I can also make the complexity of the fills. So when it comes to the end of the bar, if we want them to do something very simple, I can just dial back the fills. Or if I want a really complicated Keith Moon style drum, I can increase the fills. I can also change the complexity of how he plays. Loud, Jesse could be a she. It could be soft, it could be loud, it could be simple, it could be complex. And where I move this dot determines the complexity of the hi-hat, the snare, the drums, and so on. So if I take this down here, it's very simple and quiet. Louder and quiet, louder, but simple. Softer, but a little bit more complex. So we really can design our drums the way we want to, just like we can with many of the other instruments. Okay, let's take him off solo. So this is quite short. We haven't got that much time for this, but so what I'm going to do is just switch off this guy and go back to my loops. And you can see I've left a little bit of a space over there. So let's put some jazz hustle flute down there, and a little bit of bars of that over there. So it's some disco mixed with some 1960s Man from U.N.C.L.E. theme. And then finally, actually, I want the beginning of my song to have an intro. I didn't want it to start everybody playing immediately. So I'm going to select everybody here, and I'm going to move them across 2 bars over there. And let's get our conga. Yep, like that. So that's an even better intro. So I'm going to take the congos and bring them down to the beginning here. And I'm going to shorten them by a bar. If I can shorten them by a bar. Let's take this out by another bar then. Another 2 bars. And take our other conga. Bring that in there. Bring you guys back here. And rewind and play. So now I have a backing track for the video that I've made, for the audio that I've made, for the presentation that I'm about to give. So the next thing I want to do is I want to share it. So I can send the song to my music app. It used to be called iTunes, but in Catalina, they split iTunes up into Apple TV, Music, and Podcasts. So it's called Music now. I can send it to my media browser. Those of you who are familiar with Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, you can access your media browser and bring songs, bring photos, and bring videos in. That would send it to your media browser. If you have a SoundCloud account, you can send it straight up to SoundCloud. You can airdrop it, you can mail it, you can export it to disk, or you can send the project to Garageband for iOS to manually start bits and pieces in there. So I'm just going to export this song to disk. And here it asks me, what kind of format do I want it to be in? AAC, MP3, AIFF. These are all different musical formats. MP3 is probably the lowest quality. AIFF is the highest quality. WAV is Windows. We can choose how high the quality is. Let's just leave that as it is. And this is called funky. Funky, that's okay. I can't remember where I exported to. Hopefully I did it to the desktop. Let's have a look and see where I exported it to. Oh, into GarageBand. Let's pop it onto the desktop. I'll just leave it untitled. Okay, let's hide this. And if I go to my desktop, I now have a song. If I preview it, and that's it, folks. That's the art of playing no instrument at all, building a song and exporting it, and phase 1 of GarageBand. I hope you liked that, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great weekend.